Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But first, I want to highlight Dynamic Forces real quick. Hop on over to Dynamic Forces. They got great collectibles and comics available for sale, signed books, remarked books, sketches, all that kind of stuff, right? But I do want to point out that right now, they got some really nice exclusive limited edition covers to Stray Dogs Dog Days issue number 1, including this fantastic Evil Dead 2 movie poster homage cover that I absolutely love. You can get signed copies, you can get non-signed copies. Check them all out at dynamicforces.com at the link in the description below or right up here in the video. And of course, remember to use the code Robbie at your cart. You'll save 10%. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week is King of Spies, issue number 3 from Image Comics, written by Mark Millar with artwork by Matteo Scalera. This book has been blowing me away. Now, it's been a while since I've been this excited about a Mark Millar book. Like, Huck was probably the last one. That was several years ago, right? I mean, I used to always love everything that Mark Millar was doing, but this King of Spies book, it is awesome, and it's aided even more so by the artwork by Matteo Scalera. The artwork in this book is super dynamic, very kinetic, it is action-packed, it's got great composition, gnarly, bloody, violent, action-heavy bits. This is frickin' awesome. The basic premise of King of Spies is this. What if James Bond, when he got a little bit older, realizes that he's got a terminal illness, he's about to go. And he decides that he's going to use all the knowledge that he has built up over the years in the Secret Service or whatnot, right? That he's going to actually go out and take care of the real bad guys. We're talking about evil, corrupt billionaires and government officials, royalty, religious icons, things like that. Really crazy wild stuff. In 3 issues in this 4-issue series, it's had a frantic pace, never stopping, never taking a breath. That continues in issue number 3, but now the King of Spies himself has found himself up against some tough matches, right? So the story's starting to turn a little bit. We're starting to get a little worried about our hero. And the story, though, continues to build and build up upon this momentum and deliver a very captivating, exciting, action-packed comic book. This art, story, everything together in perfect unison to create a really satisfying action, fun, bonkers wild experience. The King of Spies, if you like violent action at its best and a criticism of some of the authority in the world, you might want to check this one out. King of Spies issue number 3, that's the pick of the week from Image Comics. Let's continue on with Image Comics. We got the Scorched issue number 2. I didn't really like the Scorched number 1. I thought it was alright. This is meant to be the team Spawn book. So it's going to have She-Spawn, it's going to have Medieval Spawn, the Redeemer, Gunslinger Spawn. Hans's on the cover. I don't know why, right? Anyway, this was a really great issue. I thought it was solid. I thought it vastly improved over the first issue. You basically got Team Spawn surrounded by all these different factions, all these different organizations with their own motives, right? And there's this one dude who's trying to inject himself with the Plague Spawn, ergo becoming a Plague Spawn. It's wild. I like how they've been diving into Plague Spawn. It's been one of my favorite bits about the Scorch. This was really cool. The cover, who dies next? This cover is very misleading. Let's just say that. But the Scorched issue number 2, I liked. Thought the artwork was solid. Not my favorite art in a Spawn book right now, but there are moments where it really shines. The Scorched issue number 2, I like that one a lot. And look at the cover coming up to issue number 3. I am a mark for Plague Spawn. Let me just tell you that. Then we got Redneck here with issue number 32. This one is quickly approaching its conclusion. This has been one of those Donny Cates series that I've been talking about since issue 1, but I don't see a lot of other people talking about it. It's Donny Cates doing Redneck Vampires, basically vampires in Texas, and it's gone beyond just the simple premise of, oh, vampires in Texas, they're country, they're rednecks, get it? Redneck, ha ha ha. It's gone so far above and beyond that. Donny Cates and company, Lissandro Esterin, the artist here, they built out this world and made it very expansive, and we now are at this final climatic moment. There's some moments in here that I thought was really solid. The scale, the scope of it at times. The good guys, if you want to call them that, it ain't looking too good for them right now, but Redneck continues to deliver. I've always loved this book. The art is a little bit eccentric compared to what some people are going to be used to for a Cates book, but this totally rocks, totally knocks it out of the park. This book has continued to deliver. Then over at Marvel, we have Maestro World War M, issue number 1. This is the final act of the Maestro trilogy that Peter David's been doing. So he had his Maestro miniseries, he had the War and Pax miniseries. This directly follows that up. We get a little bit of Abomination and Namor kind of attached and brought into this world. I've really liked this new thing that Marvel's doing where they're getting old school type creators to come in and tell old school type stories, and that's what Maestro is. Peter David does the same thing with Symbiote Spider-Man. He's about to launch New Fantastic Four, and other writers are coming in with things like X-Men Legends and Wolverine Patch and Ben Reilly Spider-Man, Silver Surfer Rebirth. I'm liking it, kind of going back to the 90s, reliving some of that nostalgic feeling, but still delivering a very exciting and capable comic book. You got Pascal Ferry on the art here at the very beginning, and then it goes to Herman Peralta. There is a reason why it switches art, and the reason is actually there in the story, so I really didn't mind that. I thought it was cool, but when we get to Peralta's artwork, holy freaking cow. We've seen him on this book before, and it continues to work. And like I said, bringing in Namor, bringing in Abomination, maybe they can take out the Maestro because no one else has been able to do it. But this book was really cool. I liked it a lot. Then we got Devil's Reign, issue number 4. We are now halfway through, beyond halfway through, the Marvel event for Devil's Reign. And in issue 4, it finally starts feeling like a what Daredevil story. Seriously, it feels more like a Daredevil story now than it did in the first 3. It's Chip Zdarsky. It's Marco Cicchetto. It feels, at least we were led to believe it was going to be mostly Daredevil-centric, and now we're really getting to it, right? There's some moments in this book that I thought were really solid. I still think that it's a valid criticism to say that this is very similar to Civil War, but there are moments in issue number 4 that were some of the better moments of the entire series. There's a great Moon Knight in prison moment that I just thought was fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, there's a great Reed and Sue and Tony moment in said prison as well. But the big thing is the ending. The ending of this, I thought was super strong, and longtime Daredevil fans are probably going to be very, very excited about that. So, Devil's Reign issue number 4, an improvement on that series. The X Deaths of Wolverine, the 10 Deaths of Wolverine, however you want to pronounce it. This is issue number 2 of a 5-issue series, going along with the 5-issue series, The X Lives of Wolverine. They're alternating week to week. I'm not into it at all. So in the X Deaths of Wolverine, we've got this like future version of Wolverine taken over by the Phalanx or something like that, and he's trying to hunt down Moira. Meanwhile, Mystique is hunting down Moira. So it's like a direct continuation from the last issue of Inferno, where Moira's like out there on her own. I think completely mischaracterized. I wasn't really quite digging the artwork. You know, I was like goofing on that Moon Knight issue a few weeks ago about how they didn't draw a nose on Tigra, and maybe they were expecting the colors to fix it, and then that didn't actually happen. There is a bit in here. Let me see if I can find. I've skipped it. There's a bit in here that's just, yeah, right there. There is no nose. There is no hint of a mouth possibly there. The nose isn't finished. They were expecting the colors to finish that, and the colors didn't. Well, good on you, colorist, because it's not your job. The line work has to be there. There's not noses on these characters. Anyway, X Deaths of Wolverine. I've kind of dedicated myself to reading through all of it just to see how it concludes. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Moon Knight is here with issue number 8. I'm loving it. I'll tell you what I love the most about this issue of Moon Knight. So last issue, we had a fill-in artist, right? Couldn't even draw a nose on Tiger. That's fine. You know, whatever. I can't... The artist could probably draw a better nose than me, but whatever. Moon Knight, issue number 8, though, we get the return of Cappuccino on the art. So it was like just a one-time fill-in. And now we got the regular artist back on the book. That's freaking awesome. That consistency in the writing and art team is really helping nail this down as one of Marvel's best ongoing titles right now. Jed MacKay does a great job with the story. This focuses on Hunter's Moon because Moon Knight's in prison. It says it's the Devil's Reign tie-in. That's kind of a lie. They basically are just like, oh yeah, Moon Knight's in prison. Go see the Devil's Reign Moon Knight special. That hasn't come out yet. So good job, editorial, on working that out. But Moon Knight, issue number 8, really great issue. Great artwork. The coloring, it's like the white on Hunter's Moon's cape, just like the Moon Knight bits. It like glows. It's like phosphorescent. Phosphorescent? Am I making up words again? Moon Knight number 8 though, really solid. Focusing in on Hunter's Moon, tweaking a previous Moon Knight villain in a new, very interesting way. This is a story about story and the power of story and the effect of story, and I really like it. Moon Knight number 8 doesn't miss a beat, even without the titular character in there. Is that how you say that? Let's jump over to DC. We got Suicide Squad Blaze, DC Black Label, Prestige Plus format. You got Simon Spurrier and Aaron Campbell, Jordi Belaird on the artwork there. I really like Aaron Campbell's artwork. I really do. And I think Jordi's coloring here is really solid. I really like Simon Spurrier working with Aaron Campbell like they did on Hellraiser. But it just doesn't work here because what this is it's an out-of-continuity Suicide Squad tale where the Suicide Squad's going to have to go with these other prisoners who have been given they've been given superpowers. Like they developed something they can give people called Blaze. It gives them superpowers, but it kills them in a couple months or something. So they've given some criminals superpowers, and they got to go out there with the Suicide Squad to like take on the villains or whatever. Artwork was great, but it doesn't work for what they're trying to go tonally with the story. This is like, oh, James Gunn's Suicide Squad's a success, so let's make something violent and funny. And it just doesn't quite work. I don't think Spurrier and Campbell are the right fit for what they're trying to do in this book. So the artwork's cool, but didn't really do much for me outside of that. Then we have The Joker, issue number 12. This is a series that I was really into at first, kind of got out of. Now I've been recently getting back into it, and then issue 12 hits. This sucks. This, like, are you serious? I cannot wait to talk to people who've actually read this, because here's what I'll say. There is something that is set up in the earliest issues of Joker, and you're like, that person is going to be revealed to be this person. And then there are other books in the DC universe where you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. That's interesting. So there is a big revelation here, and it's exactly what I pegged down from the beginning, exactly what I thought, and it goes to show you that nobody at DC editorially is talking to one another. This really bummed me out. Like, they set up something so obvious in the beginning of this run, and then they were acting like that wasn't going to happen. And then, oh, just kidding, it's the obvious answer. Joker number 12. Little whack. Then we get this DC Comics, Detective Comics 1052. Why am I continuing to read this story? Because I like the backup story by Matthew Rosenberg about this kid growing up in Gotham. He gets kind of manipulated and twisted by the Scarecrow. Now he's running around with the Penguin, and it just keeps escalating and it's just crazier and crazier. And I think it's an origin story to this character that we're getting in the main story here or whatever. But that main story is weak. The structurally all over the place, the way they're choosing to jump back and forth. So Arkham Tower, they're somehow miraculously healing all of their inmates here with this magical pill. Turns out it's just Psycho Pirate. Obviously something no good is going down here at the Arkham Tower. Then you've got, so like, Batwoman is pretending to be a doctor. Huntress is pretending to be an inmate. And Nightwing's pretending to be a janitor. There's such a ass-backwards, long-ass way. Like, Batman would just, like, put in some, like, remote receivers, like, listen to it a little bit, scare some people, take care of this in, like, one issue. I've not been liking that book. Batgirls, issue 3. Why did I read this one? Why? I didn't like 1 or 2. I love the artwork. Jorge Corona's artwork here is great. It's got this raw, rough, edgy grit to it that I actually think is super exceptional, especially with comparing it to some of his other work. Well, I'm a huge fan, you know, Middle West, Me You Love in the Dark. Man, the story, just can't get into it. Don't like the use of these characters, don't like the world. It's kind of stagnant with the way the dialogue's kind of paced out, so it's not working for me. I gave it through to issue 3, because it was a rather light week this week, but I regretted it, did not like it. Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue number 8. it's a decent enough issue. It's all right. It's not bad. The characterization of Jonathan's becoming a little bit more in focus with what I was expecting from Tom Taylor, especially seeing his work and other things. I still feel like he's a little bit naive and a little bit confused and not quite together, but that's okay. It's the journey. So we'll see where this goes. There's ways that this could develop into a really interesting story, but so far, it just still hasn't been hitting me, right? So Superman Son of Kal-El, I do think that it's evening out, and it's not so out there, awkward, and weird now. It's a little bit more in line with what my expectations were, but still not really quite digging it. Let's jump over to Aftershock. We got this Land of the Living Gods, issue number 1. For some reason, this one's heating up. This one's heating up online. I don't know why. I have heard no news about this, but I read it. It was just okay. If you have to overpay for this book, I would not recommend it. It's got some decent artwork. It's got an interesting enough story, but it just didn't quite supremely captivate me. But it's set in the future. I think it's like in South Africa or something. The world is now populated by actual spirits, and the world is also kind of dystopian, and it was all right, but it didn't really give me enough of a hook to really entice me to come back or do anything distinctly separate from a lot of other issue ones with very similar premises. It was all right. I do like that cover, though. The nice cardstock, glossy kind of cover. Land of the Living Gods, issue number 1. It was all right. Then we had Colt of Icarus, number 1, from Scout Comics. Loved this one. I thought it was really cool. Near pick of the week worthy. It was kind of a lighter week, but this one, I really like some of the artwork in here, especially the coloring. It's got that raw, gritty kind of edge and texture to it. But it's about this woman who, like, she doesn't know who her parents are, and her parents were, like, killed while she was a baby, and now she's gone to find one of their best friends to get some information about who her parents were. Turns out they were trying to protect her from the Colt of Icarus, who are vampires. So it's a little bit vampires. It's just really cool Lost Boys homage cover, but I really like the story. I really like the flow. I like the pace. I like the artwork. There were some moments where the artwork did seem a bit wonky, but for the most part, I found myself rather interested and relieved by reading this book, and its art style being so different, unique, something texturally different too. I liked it. Colt of Icarus number 1, that's also got a nice, hardy, thick cover. Let's jump over to Dynamite. And from Dynamite, we have Draculina, issue number 1. So this is a character, kind of like a Vampirella villain or something like that, reintroduced, I think, in the recent Christopher Priest run on Vampirella, which I didn't read, got the first trade, wanted to get into it, because I'm liking Vampirella, Dracula Unholy, which is a continuation of that series, but I'm finding myself just a bit lost. In this one, that lost feeling's not quite there. They do a great job of letting you know who this person is, how they're back, what's going on. There's this weird bit where when Draculina falls asleep, she like becomes this little girl, like an alternate version of her from another reality or something like that. So it's got some interesting bits. It's got some solid artwork. So I liked it. I'm been getting into these Dynamite books, obviously, and the Vampirella stuff is very appealing to me because, I mean, I love the vampires, I love the sci-fi, I love the beautiful women. So Draculina was something I was really looking forward to, and it did not disappoint. And what definitely didn't disappoint was that Ken Hazer TMNT homage cover. I'm addicted to these Ken Hazer TMNT homage covers you're about to see. Then we got Jennifer Blood, issue number 5. Another one of those homage covers. This is an homage to that Raphael micro series one-shot, so that's really cool. Issue number 5 wraps up this first arc, and I hadn't been reading Jennifer Blood, so I don't know what that character, where that story wound up, you know, how it ended, and where this is picked up, but I've been enjoying this book. It's basically Jennifer Blood in a community that's populated by like people in the mafia who are in the witness protection program, but it's a whole community. So like they kind of have free reign there and they get to do whatever they want, just live these like criminal lives. But Jennifer Blood goes in there and starts taking it out. Well, there's a twist to how Jennifer Blood is back in this world, in this situation, and I really liked that twist. I thought it was cool, and I thought that this was going to wrap up the series, but it's going to continue. New story starting in the next issue. Jennifer Blood hasn't been the best Dynamite book I've been reading, but it's been consistently strong and solid. So Jennifer Blood, issue number 5, I dug it. Really liked Evil Ernie, issue number 3, another one of those Ken Hazer, Raphael one-shot homage covers. Evil Ernie's a character that I always knew of, but never read any book with Evil Ernie in it, but now I really want to go back and read some old school stuff because this is fun. So it's a new character who's being possessed by Evil Ernie. Scott Lobdell is explaining to us issue by issue a little bit more about this character and his world, but in particular about Evil Ernie and what's going on there. And how that setup is working. It's gory when it needs to be. It's not taking itself seriously, and it's having fun, and I'm having fun reading it. Evil Ernie, issue number 3. Then we got Vampirella Valentine's Day Special for 2022. This one has 4 different Vampirella stories in here, one by David Avallone. I really liked that story. It's about this dude who has a one-night Valentine's Day fling with Vampirella, like back in like 72 or something, and now 50 years later, they kind of reconnect, and that was a really great story. There were a couple other stories that were pretty decent, and then one story that was just alright, but that main story is the best. Did like the artwork throughout most of them, but if you like Vampirella, ever wanted to check in out some of her works, this is just 4 simple Valentine's Day themed stories that were pretty solid, so definitely one worth checking out. Then we got Mighty Morphin, issue number 16. We are moving fast through this Eltarian war. I am loving it. All the secret history of Zordon and Lord Zed and the Eltarians and the Xeon crystal. All of that stuff was absolutely phenomenal. It's been building up, and it builds to a big climactic moment here. And then another thing happens to really start pushing this story forward. I'm loving it. Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers both have been really super solid superhero comic books with great, dazzling artwork that's just boisterous. I love it. Mighty Morphin issue 16, not letting me down. 7 Secrets issue 14, this book's letting me down. I really love the first arc. Thought the second arc was pretty strong. Starts losing me though, and now it's just issue to issue. It keeps losing me more and more, right? So I'm reading it. Big, impactful things are happening, but I'm feeling disconnected from the story. I'm feeling disconnected from the characters. Now, I don't know, I said last issue, I need to do a reread to adequately judge the next few issues. So this one still just felt a little bit disconnected, so I definitely got to get a reread in, or I'm just going to be dropping that book. From AWA Upshot, we have Hotell, Volume 2, Issue number 3, another fantastic issue of Hotell by John Lees and Dalibor Talajik. Absolutely loved this issue. So in Hotell Volume 1, it's about this hotel where weird stuff happens. It's like a 4-room hotel, right, on Route 66 or something. And that whole first volume, each story was its own story, but there was this connective tissue that wound up coming together in that final issue. Well, in Hotell Volume 2, John Lees is able to, now that we're expecting it, start trying to actually tie things in a little bit tighter in Volume 2, and I appreciate that. But they still have their own one-and-done, self-contained story, and this one's about an artist. When he tries to draw something, he can't quite draw it right, and then in reality, it starts shifting to what he's drawing. Some really great horrific moments in here. The ending kind of happened quick and abruptly, but I still dug it. Hotell, Volume 2, Issue number 3, loved it. Then we got Life Zero, Issue number 1. This is a new one from Ablaze. It's a reprint of European comic, probably translated to English for probably its first time or something. Stefano Viti is the writer. Marco Cicchetto is the artist, and that's why most people are going to check it out. Marco Cicchetto's artwork on Devil's Reign, compared to this, you see the difference, you see the approach. Devil's Reign, not as good as his artwork in here, but the story just didn't really do too much for me. It's your typical kind of zombie story, and it's about this prison, and it was quite unclear what was going on, but the artwork was nice to look at. But Life Zero number 1 didn't really do too much for me. Then we got Hellboy, 1957, Forgotten Lives. It's a one-shot comic book. Hellboy, Professor Broom, they're going to investigate this haunting, this ghost, and there's some thematic material there where they're trying to make a statement about regret and life and not, doing certain things that you should have done and all, but it just doesn't work, and it doesn't tie itself together for me for a one-shot. Like, I was reading this, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a one-shot, but it feels like it's just setting up something else, and then it does end rather abruptly without the poignant punch that I think the series really wanted to deliver, or this one-shot. So I was a little disappointed in that. Hellboy, his name was. Anyway, the Apache Delivery Service, issue number 2, Love it. This is basically a treasure hunt during the Vietnam War by two soldiers in the jungles of Vietnam. So it's intense. It feels like you feel this sense of foreboding danger. That's really exciting. I love the artwork by Tyler Jenkins and Hillary Jenkins. I think it works. It fits this story, works really well. So it's about this dude. He's a Native American. He's actually Navajo, but everybody calls him Apache Delivery Service. And so this one dude finds him, and he's like, hey, man, tells him this story about this treasure that's buried there in Vietnam, and they're going to go find it. So it's kind of got like a Three Kings kind of vibe, but in Vietnam, but not as humorous, if that makes sense, but a lot darker. But I'm digging it. Matt Kent's the writer on this one. So Apache Delivery Service, issue number 2. I liked it. That's what I read. That's what I thought. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. We really do appreciate it. Anyway, I've been rocking Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop, boom!